In 2019, the OneNKY Alliance convened the OneNKY Summit Series. The Summit Series included meetings, conversations, and forums to discuss the future of our region. What are we anxious about? What is our new ambition? What does the future hold for this great region? How do we speak with one voice to the region? Frankfurt, Washington, and anyone interested in expanding their business or taking residence here. Business leaders, public officials, and civic advocates were engaged to discuss these concerns and what success looks like for the OneNKY Metro. These leaders tackled the question of what would our future be and how would we claim it? How could we leverage the great companies that have been built here, the ambition of local entrepreneurs, and the power of our leading institutions?
A new path was created based on the need for economic activity, job growth, educational attainment, and population health. A new platform was developed to focus on these efforts and to stake our claim as the most powerful metropolitan economy in the Commonwealth. Bold, measurable goals were set to define the mission of the work, and we faced the challenge with grit and determination. Here we are in 2030, and the journey of the past decade has included transformational project announcements, notable entrepreneurial achievements, and the greatest expansion of the OneNKY Metro economy in its history. A decade later, the OneNKY Metro has not only achieved the job, investment, and income goals it set, but has also earned distinction as a thriving area with boundless ambition and economic potential.
In the past decade, we have created over 40,000 net new jobs and have secured over $4 billion in capital investment. This has resulted in a 20% increase in the personal per capita income of all Northern Kentuckians. In addition, the data now substantiates that we're well on our way to achieving our goal of being one of the healthiest communities in America, and we rank #1 in the Commonwealth for educational attainment. And for the first time in history, Northern Kentucky is viewed by Frankfurt as a place to invest the Commonwealth's money for the greatest return on investment, which benefits all Kentuckians. The OneNKY Metro has emerged as a beacon of economic competitiveness and population growth. As this decade ends, the community is surging beyond its goals and is considered a national model for how ambition and regional collaboration drives community success. We look back and we take pride that our efforts in the past decade have enabled our communities to prosper and our lives to change for the better. But our work is just beginning as we continue to build our OneNKY of the 22nd century. The numbers speak to our success, but what we are most proud of is the social mobility opportunities that now exist for all Northern Kentuckians. OneNKY is now more than a brand, more than a building, more than an initiative. OneNKY is our culture. OneNKY is who we are.
Well, welcome to the OneNKY Summit. We are pleased to be with you today as we introduce a variety of exciting initiatives and information, all in the interest of moving our community forward. What a great intro we just heard from a variety of community and business leaders as we fast forward to building our 22nd century OneNKY, our theme for this year's Summit Series. We offered a series this year focused on growth, health, and education to identify challenges and potential solutions leading into our summit today. Our broad-based audience ranged from elected officials, business and community leaders, to area residents, all passionate around Northern Kentucky. Your feedback and participation are reflected in what you will hear.
The OneNKY Alliance has convened the summit since 2019, bringing together growth organizations and individuals to address challenges through opportunities. Over the past 18 months, as a community, we have faced new challenges head-on and continued with great momentum on many fronts. The importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion moved to the forefront, and we have included this as an important lens as we create a welcoming community and an ease of business in Northern Kentucky. As part of this program today, you will hear of a groundbreaking effort on the education front, customized for our region, thanks to NKU and Gateway, in partnership with Miami University and Cincinnati State. It is clearly a template for success for other sectors, and we are proud to include it.
Part 1 of our program today includes a new feature we intend to provide throughout 2022 as part of our OneNKY Summit Series updates. We call it NKY at a Glance. And today's segment focuses on an NKY primer of sorts, inclusive of compelling information on how we are structured, how we spend, and how we compare. This is presented by the NKU research team of Janet Hara, Center for Economic Analysis and Development, Ryan Salzman, Associate Professor, Political Science. Also assisting with this project was Mark Nykirk, Executive Director, the Scripps Howard Center, and Darren Wilson, Assistant Professor of Public Administration. Kenton County Judge Executive Chris Knuckleman will present a pilot project long in the making, thanks to his innovative team at the county. Congrats, Judge, and the Kenton County team. We are excited to hear about this and its potential regional application. We will then move into an announcement of an incredible initiative on the media front, introduced by OneNKY board member Greg Fisher. Get ready for this one. It's been in the works for a while, and it will raise the profile of NKY on the regional, state, and national fronts.
We will round out this portion of our program with a quick update on existing initiatives that have progressed substantially. As you can tell, we have much to cover, so let's get going, Northern Kentucky. We will be back soon to introduce the second part of our program.
Welcome to NKY at a Glance. My name is Ryan Salzman, and I'm here with Janet Hara to talk about the nuts and bolts of Northern Kentucky, what makes Northern Kentucky unique, and also how we can use our region and other regions in the Commonwealth to understand things just a little bit better.
So to get started, let's talk about the structure of Northern Kentucky. We have 3 counties, Boone, Campbell, and Kenton. We have 34 incorporated cities, 66 special taxing districts, and 17 independent school districts and/or county school districts. We're going to compare ourselves today to Fayette County, which is home to Lexington, and to Jefferson County, which is home to Louisville. We're going to look at both how our economic trends have been over the past decade, and we're also going to look at how we spend our money and how that compares to Fayette and Jefferson County. And we're going to start off by looking at population growth.
And when we think about how we understand economics, this is about people, this is about jobs, and this is about payroll growth and payroll rates. And so first we'll talk a little bit about the population of these 3 different regions.
So one of the things that's very notable, if you look on the left-hand side, is that Louisville is by far the largest of the 3 areas that we're looking at. But it's also important, size is not the only thing that matters, it also is how are you moving over time. And when we look at the growth rates, you're going to see that in most cases, Northern Kentucky is either matching or exceeding both Louisville and Lexington in terms of growth. Here you can look at jobs by county, and you can see again, Northern Kentucky is far outpacing the other 2 areas. When we look at earnings by county, we're kind of even, a little bit behind Jefferson County. That's a function of not only are we creating more jobs, but what are the average earnings of the jobs we're creating. And then this is looking at gross domestic product by county, which is the most comprehensive measure of the economy that we have. And you can see over the past decade that Northern Kentucky has far outpaced both Fayette and Jefferson counties. So the bottom line is that we're doing very well as an economy over the past decade.
Now, we can only read so much into that data, but this is just at a glance, so we hope that those statistics will help you. But now starting to look at some of those government expenditures and government structures. Of course, we know that Northern Kentucky is different from a lot of other regions in the country, but nonetheless, we're going to keep comparing it to these other regions as well, because we do think that they are very comparable with one another. So first, we're going to start by looking at those expenditure levels kind of across the top, like this high-end number of what we're looking at. What are we looking at here, Janet?
So we're looking at per capita expenditures. In other words, we've adjusted the expenditures for the number of people that live in the different counties. And the orange counties, the orange bars are the most comparable because Lexington has private water service, and of course the other 2 areas, those are municipal expenditures, or in our case of Northern Kentucky, they're a special district.
And that's our first indicator that things are really different.
Yes.
I think that, and this chart, I think, really starts to capture what is very unique about Northern Kentucky and the way that we structure our governance here in the region.
Yes, in Northern Kentucky, half of all expenditures are via special districts. And when you look at the next graph, you see that's very different. In Louisville and Lexington, over 90% of all expenditures are actually municipal expenditures. They go through the city, whereas here, half of every government expenditure dollar is going through a special district.
Yeah, so we're going to say that again. I think this is really worth repeating, is that over half of all of our expenditures, all of our governance and public expenditures are through special districts, which is so different from how things are done in Fayette and in Jefferson counties. But nonetheless, now let's go ahead and look at those different areas in which we spend these government dollars.
So here's looking at general government. Again, what you're going to see over and over is our expenditures are different, but some of that's just a categorization because a lot of this general government in Northern Kentucky is via special districts. The next graph we're looking at is public safety. That's police, fire, EMS, etc. Here you can see that our expenditure levels are very similar across the three areas. The next set is per capita expenditures on roads. Here's an example of where just looking at the dollars can be a bit misleading. If you look at the next graph, you can see that one of the things that's really driving the differences in per capita expenditures on roads is simply the fact that Northern Kentucky has a much bigger geographic area. The population density is much lower, so you would expect, all else equal, that our expenditures per road mile would be higher simply because we have more roads and they're not densely populated. We see very similar, again, big differences in park and recreation expenditures, but again, per capita expenditures only tell you about the dollar side. They don't tell you about the amenities side, and it's simply that some of these areas have more parks and more amenities than we have in Northern Kentucky. The education, again, this is an example where we spend very differently. All of our library expenditures are running through special districts. In Louisville and Lexington, those are municipal functions.
Yeah, so think about, again, that pie chart, just as a reminder, over 50% going through those special districts. And here, again, perfect example of one of those special district areas.
And then another one of these is public transportation. Again, you can see we spend less per capita than the other two areas, but if we look at the next, again, for us, that is primarily driven by the fact that we have fewer routes in tank than do Louisville or Lexington comparably. If we go to looking at per capita expenditures by public health, again, this is where we spend very differently. All of our public health, by and large, is spent via a special district, which is the Northern Kentucky Health Department. In Louisville and Lexington, those are run as municipal functions. This is a good news one because government pensions and benefits, they are difficult for everyone to fund, and our rate is much lower than either Louisville or Lexington. So that's good news for Northern Kentucky, particularly in the long term.
All right, Janet, so what are our key takeaways?
Well, I think we have three primary. One is that our economy has done very well the past decade when we compare ourselves to Fayette and Jefferson County, and I expect that pattern to continue. However, our government structure is very different from either Fayette or Jefferson County. We spend a lot more money of our money through special districts. And I think it's a real cautionary note that direct expenditure comparisons should be done with caution. Because we spend so differently, you can't always tell that the categorizations are going to be the same across geographies.
Well, there you have it. That's NKY at a glance.
Thank you.
We have some exciting opportunities here for us in our community, and I'm pleased to be a part of the OneNKY Summit Series as we discuss ongoing transformation. Often that transformation is years in the works and it requires the dedication from teams of people who are passionate about projects and efficiencies that are created here for our stronger community. Many of these important projects require the skills of our technical professionals who understand the landscape, impact, and necessary implementation steps. Success also depends upon the persistence, enthusiasm, and the will from those who we are involved with. The project I'm excited to tell you about today is the Kenton County Tax Portal. This really has been something we've been talking about for many years, and really the whole purpose of it is how to make it easier to handle the business tax and business fees in our community, in our county. The first process is to work as a pilot program with realtors. Realtors deal with servicing and business in all cities in all of Kenton County, so we wanted to start with them to make sure that they have an opportunity to see this work. Then we'll test this in early 2022, let them give us feedback on this portal, and we're bringing them into at the very beginning of this as well. And then our hope is to grow this to all businesses in Kenton County, and then to really finally make it something so that all three of the counties in Northern Kentucky can work together to make it even easier to pay these fees and taxes. We look forward to the opportunity, and please wish us well, but be patient with us as we accomplish this in the coming months.
Our OneNKY Summit program today includes several innovative initiatives, and this one ranks as one of the most transformative in quite a while. All of us understand that access to information is important to the vibrancy of any community. The ability to learn what is happening specific to Northern Kentucky creates a shared understanding of our relevance and the impact we hold as a community to the region, the state, and the country. There has been a void in the media market for years as Northern Kentucky has progressed, faced new challenges, and developed new opportunities. Our initiative places the focus squarely on Northern Kentucky, Boone, Campbell, and Kenton counties, from urban core to suburban to rural. It will focus on the comprehensive and the day-to-day, but most importantly, it will serve as a voice for many within our community. The OneNKY Alliance chose to incubate this effort over the past 18 months because it is critical to our future, our understanding of what is important, and our ability to work together as one. Through this initiative, we have assembled a highly impressive and talented team and structure. We have researched and consulted with the professionals and believe that we have found the right mix for Northern Kentucky. The structure includes appointments from the leading nonprofit organizations in the market, including Northern Kentucky University, Horizon Community Funds, the Northern Kentucky Chamber, and the OneNKY Alliance. In concert with key investors, we have established a sound governance for this entity over the long term. It's now time to turn it over to this team for an important unveiling of our exciting new adventure. Please join us on this journey.
Link Media is a new enterprise created for Northern Kentucky to bring a multimedia, news, information, and entertainment organization dedicated only to our region.
It's been 14 years since the closure of the Kentucky Post, and since then, there's been no fully staffed, fully supported news organization to replace it.
For the past decade, we've brought you Fort Thomas Matters and the River City News. We've covered thousands of local government meetings, sporting events, business comings and goings, and more.
We've told the stories of our neighbors in good times and bad, and we've hung out at special events and created the most robust social media platforms for Northern Kentucky's conversation.
Now the time has come to take these publications to the next level and to give Northern Kentucky back its voice. Link is excited to announce the acquisition of Fort Thomas Matters and the River City News.
As one unified voice, we will bring better, more thorough coverage of a better unified region.
One voice, one company, and one objective: to boost the story of Northern Kentucky like never before.
The new media landscape can be difficult. We know that. But our goal is simple. We will fill a void and bring a voice to Kentucky's most underrepresented and misunderstood region.
We will be the dominant voice for a unified Northern Kentucky, not by elevating our own, but by creating a megaphone for yours.
And here's what we have in store: a newly designed webpage, Experience, where every day your top stories that impact your home, your business, your community, your schools, your family will be uploaded daily with the type of passion and commitment you've grown to expect from RCN and FTM.
But this time, it will be even better. We are bringing to our team new editors, writers, and multimedia creators to level up the user experience.
We will be a powerful destination for all things Northern Kentucky, but not just through news. We will create original video, podcast, photography content so that we are telling a full story about who we are and who we want to be.
This new organization represents the single largest investment in local news in Northern Kentucky in 2 decades. It brings together local investors, donors, and nonprofit organizations to run a truly independent and neutral news source. And we can't wait to get started on this new digital storytelling experience.
And in addition to our vigorous digital platform, we are thrilled to announce the launch of a new print publication to Northern Kentucky, a bi-monthly newspaper directly mailed to every single household in Boone, Kenton, and Campbell counties, free to everyone.
And this won't be your parents' newspaper. It will be a home for a variety of storytelling: news, commentary, photography, creative fiction, comics, games, history, and more. We want to set a new standard for an old medium, one that has been absent from Northern Kentucky for too long.
Already, between the River City News and Fort Thomas Matters, we have hundreds of thousands of monthly readers. And now you get to help us build the next chapter for the local media landscape. Our platforms will have the most impactful and meaningful opportunities for advertisers for all sizes, from large corporations to small Main Street shops who want to amplify their messages and reach customers right here in Northern Kentucky.
And when you advertise with the Link family of publications, you're not throwing your money away like with the corporate papers, TV, or radio outlets, where your ads are heard or seen by people who are nowhere near here. Our data shows that nearly all of our existing readership are your neighbors, right here in Northern Kentucky.
And through our Northern Kentucky Community Journalism Fund at Horizon Community Funds, individuals can support our work with tax-deductible donations of any size. Those donations will help us cover the important issues that matter most to you.
That's right. A community that invests in local news is a community that has local news for generations to come.
It might be strange to see me, a local entrepreneur, here with two news guys. But what you don't know about me is that I wasn't always in business. I started my professional career as a newspaper reporter. Over the 2 decades between my last reporting job and now, though, I never lost my love for journalism or forgot how integral strong local media is to the community. My name is Lacey Starling, and I'm a proud Northern Kentucky transplant. I founded my last business, Legion Logistics, in the basement of my house in Union. And while Michael and Mark were growing their news organizations, I grew Legion to a $25 million company that's newly headquartered at Newport-on-the-Levee. Now that I've left the world of logistics, I'm excited to lead a new media operation that will fulfill a long-desired dream of so many of us in Northern Kentucky. A total, fully functional, sustainable, ambitious, aggressive, exciting, thorough news operation focused solely on us right here, in our own neighborhoods, our cities, our schools, churches, sports leagues, and governments. It's a tall task. Even large legacy media companies around the world seem to be lost on how to operate a model that works, especially on an exclusively local level. But it's a task I believe we can accomplish with the team we've put together thanks to forward-thinking organizations like the OneNKY Alliance.
Around here, we often joke about the Ohio River and how it can feel more like an ocean between Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. It's sad to say, but sometimes the Licking River can feel that way too, separating Kenton and Campbell counties in a way privacy fence divides neighbors who don't want to know what's going or happening on the other side of the fence. My name is Mark Collier, and on the east side of that river, I've published the Fort Thomas Matters for more than a decade with an intense focus on Campbell County, its people, its schools, its businesses, and its sports. Fort Thomas Matters has become an aggressive, ambitious, and comprehensive storyteller that adds to the fabric of Northern Kentucky. Over the past 10 years, I have told that story of a city and county finding its place in the 21st century, a city changing in many ways. I've been on the scene of breaking news, fires, crime scenes, and I've hosted live events that brought the community together to share moving, personal stories. I've moderated political debates and helped that community become more informed and knowledgeable about what might be possible here. And like Michael at the River City News, I've had a small but dedicated team to help me along the way. I've grown a profitable and engaging platform, but every cold call for advertising is on my shoulders. Every late night edit too. And spreading our resources and making them last has been the name of the game for local media startups in Northern Kentucky. That has to change, because Northern Kentucky has changed.
And when the people of Northern Kentucky 100 years from now look back on this period, wanting to know what life was like here, how governments operated, how issues were addressed, how our sports teams performed, which businesses existed, who made their marks on this region, and how we responded to a catastrophic global pandemic that didn't leave us unscathed, they will have 10 years worth of material from something I called the River City News. My name is Michael Monks, and for the past decade, I've had a front row seat to that story. I've told that story, and what a story it's been. Along with the help of a small but dedicated team of contributors, the River City News has become the dominant news source for all of Northern Kentucky, breaking stories and leading conversations. The success of this publication led to my appointment as the host of a daily radio show on Cincinnati's NPR station. And now we build even further. I'm proud to join with my friends Mark Collier and Lacey Starling and all of you to begin writing the next chapter in Northern Kentucky's history, OneNKY, with one voice, shouting louder than ever before.
Over the coming weeks and months, you will see changes, new websites, new programming, new faces to tell our stories.
And again, you will help us through your readership, your social media engagement, your digital subscriptions.
your news tips, your suggestions, and your criticism.
And as we hold others accountable, you will hold us accountable.
This is an historic effort, and we know how challenging it can be. But with our talents and abilities brought together formally under one brand, and with a new team of dedicated staff and contributors, and most importantly with your support, we will write the next piece of Northern Kentucky's history together. I'm Lacey Starling, Chief Executive Officer of Link.
I'm Michael Monks, Chief Content Officer at Link.
I'm Mark Collier, Chief Operating Officer at Link.
To learn more about what's to come, please visit linknky.com and be sure to sign up for our emails so that you are the first to know what's happening with Link and this new enterprise to better connect Northern Kentucky with itself, the rest of the state, and the world.
Hashtag nailed it. In other news, OneNKY Frankfurt continues to serve as a tremendous catalyst for change as community and business leaders utilize the facility for direct access to our decision makers in Frankfurt. Since opening in 2020, over 60 meetings and events have brought together legislators, business, and community leaders, and all those passionate about Northern Kentucky. Led by OneNKY member company St. Elizabeth, sponsors have utilized the benefits and look for increased usage in 2022. The facility is located at 418 Capitol Avenue, within walking distance of the Capitol, and offers co-working and event space. This branded facility offers presence and a physical testimony to what OneNKY symbolizes, a stronger and more unified identity to draw attention and resources from our Commonwealth and metropolitan region. Plans continue for the much-anticipated 34,000 square foot OneNKY headquarters, bringing together growth organizations in a tremendous show of unity and shared voice. To date, 6 NKY organizations, the Chamber, Triad, Catalytic Fund, Meet NKY, Horizon Community Fund, and the OneNKY Alliance have received unanimous support from their boards to move forward as tenants. The remaining 11,000 square feet is actively marketed to similar organizations. Funding for the building comes from a variety of sources, and with $1.7 million to go, the OneNKY Alliance and Catalytic Fund are in high gear to push across the finish line. Situated at the foot of the iconic Roebling Bridge, the building will serve as the headquarters for NKY's economic growth activities and will reinforce the community's identity and brand as a significant region and provide a sense of place to convene and market NKY for tourism, residents, and business.
Tremendous progress is underway given the first part of our program. Thank you to the NKU research team for setting the stage, Judge Executive Knuckleman for piloting the tax portal project, and now the new media team, which is in place. We have come a long way with OneNKY in Frankfurt and plans for the headquarter facilities in Covington. These initiatives have been in the works for quite some time and answer a need, a gap in our community. For that reason, we held 3 sessions prior to today's summit: growth, health, and education, to identify needs and concerns that cross over each of these core areas. Many of you participated and voiced the need for potential solutions. Ironically, much of the feedback pointed to the need to market our community resources and assets. And having just heard the announcement of the media initiative, we are on our way with a vehicle to address this need.
Many of you are part of core missions and organizations that are responsible for addressing these solutions. Part 2 of this program addresses both opportunities and challenges that are ready for action within our community. We will speak to the results through our panel and the experts in each field. We know there will be application for each organization to partner for solutions and amplify the priority focus. We're starting off today with our panel of experts who help to lead each of these respective sessions as part of the Summit Series. Lee Kroom, President and CEO of Triad on Growth, Sarah Giolando, Senior VP and Chief Strategy Officer, St. Elizabeth, and on Health, and Jenny Fair, Dean and Professor, College of Education, Northern Kentucky University on Education. We approach the sessions and our agenda inclusive of a DEI lens noted earlier in the program, and you will hear more shortly. We also acknowledge and depend on the tremendous amount of vision and work now in progress with various groups, organizations, and individuals. These conversations do not replace these efforts, rather fortify and support. As a result of our sessions, we landed on 3 crossover topics with a strong interest in a 4th. Participants noted challenges in each of these areas, whether they were a healthcare provider or patient, an educator or student, or an employee or an employee. These areas were transportation, housing, access to educational resources, with heavy interest on the homelessness and the food security issue. Solutions offered were grouped into primary categories, inclusive of the need to market our community resources and assets, the use of technology to identify the gaps, and policy alignment to generate necessary resources and legislative impact. Jenny, with Northern Kentucky University at the helm, this session addressed issues related to early childhood, connection to competencies, and educational advancement and opportunities. Clearly, our cross-sector issues came into play with transportation needs, housing, and general access to educational resources in mind. The state's recent release of data related to students' performance during COVID-19 provides another lens in addition to many others, which should impact our priorities in Northern Kentucky. Please share with us an overview of these sessions.
During the education session, as part of the OneNKY Summit series, we reviewed data, listened as a panel of experts discussed their strategic work, and discussed in small groups some potential problem-solving measures. Through this tiered approach, we thoroughly reviewed 3 possible educational obstacles in our region. One was early childhood education. We noted that limited access to resources, including pre-K programming and transitional services to elementary school, affected children's readiness for learning some skills. We also discussed our learners' connections to competencies. If students are not self-aware of their core competencies and potential long-term choices, they may miss out on some potential growth and career options. This, of course, affects Northern Kentucky's need for a robust talent pipeline. Finally, we reviewed our region's attention to educational advancement and opportunity. Our goal is to increase the number of college-bound students in Northern Kentucky, helping learners realize their highest potential and then filling key positions in the workforce. Ultimately, what we recommended would help our region ensure equity as well. We discovered that creating opportunity is one goal, but ensuring that everyone is aware of and has access to those opportunities is just as vital. To that end, we recognize ways that Northern Kentucky can positively influence educational outcomes. For example, we can advocate for policies that align with our needs. Policy and financial support can help our region identify and support our highest need communities with resources. And we can identify those high-need communities by reviewing multiple data points, including academic, social, and economic indicators. We can also advocate for effective use of technology. Solutions like the GROW efforts, inclusive of the My Career E3 portal, a regional work-based learning platform connecting students and employers, has been successfully launched through a well-researched high-tech approach. More initiatives are in the works, too, as challenges are identified and opportunities embraced. We also need to ensure that we raise awareness of resources. Incredible work is occurring in the region, but if families and learners are unaware of that work and the resources available to them, those very resources can be underutilized. One example of this is the troubling trend in FAFSA submissions. In Kentucky, they have declined during COVID. The FAFSA form is a document that helps students receive need-based aid, some of which does not have to be repaid, for college attendance. Finally, in considering how equity gaps influence and are influenced by opportunity gaps, one promising initiative in the education sector is a recently announced partnership between Northern Kentucky University, Gateway Community College, Miami University, and Cincinnati State, called the Moonshot for Equity. This effort represents an opportunity for our entire community. Let's listen while NKU's Dr. Ashish Vaidya and Gateway's Dr. Fernando Figueroa share their insight on this new partnership.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm pleased to join you for the OneNKY Virtual Summit. I'm delighted that so many community leaders are working together to advance our region. This event and the partnerships we are forging are so vital to creating a healthy, educated, and vibrant Northern Kentucky. Therefore, I'm delighted to share with you a bold and ambitious collaborative effort that NKU has catalyzed to advance opportunity in our region in the most impactful way. The Moonshot for Equity is a national effort led by education firm EAB to close equity gaps within regional cohorts of 2- and 4-year institutions by 2030. We have joined Gateway Community and Technical College, Miami University, and Cincinnati State Technical and Community College to make that vision a reality here. In fact, the Northern Kentucky, Southern Ohio ecosystem is now the second major region working on the Moonshot, along with the Milwaukee region. We believe that this region cannot afford to go through another decade of growing equity gaps. But we also believe in working together with all of you to make this happen for this region. We know that less than half of all Black and Latinx students who enter college earn their undergraduate degree within 6 years, compared with nearly 70% of white students. Additionally, first-generation students and those with families with lower incomes graduate college at a significantly lower rate than students from more privileged backgrounds, regardless of race. So the moment is now that we all come together to change that reality. To achieve the goals of Moonshot, each institution will commit to more than a dozen research-based best practices that are proven to remove systemic barriers to student success. We will update academic policies, establish common academic pathways, and provide equity-mindedness training to university leaders to push each institution towards a more equitable future. One of those best practices requires us to expand community-based partnerships in support of this effort. We need you, our community partners, to support the higher education aspirations of first-generation, lower-income, and underrepresented students. You can help expand our efforts of diversity recruitment, enrollment, and retention through financial assistance, internship opportunities, and mentorship. Building the social capital that our students need to succeed helps them, but also helps the region become a more equitable and prosperous one. We are working together to keep the American dream of opportunity alive for all students, and we will continue to focus lifting the graduation rate for each of these subpopulations so that they may enjoy a lifetime of fulfillment in their careers and at home. I know we will have your support in this effort because when organizations like ours, both public and private, come together, we make the community a better and more vibrant place. Again, it's been my privilege to join you today. I hope we have an engaging and productive summit. Thank you.
Our community's diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts continue to take shape with businesses and organizations, embracing the need to create an environment welcoming to all. The Moonshot for Equity program provides a focus on those with the most need and raises the level of our OneNKY community to new heights. The partnership involved NKU, Gateway, University of Miami, Ohio, and Cincinnati State have worked independently to improve completion rates and reduce equity gap issues. Moonshot for Equity enhances these efforts and provides powerful tools and proven strategies that enable us to accomplish more together. We are stronger as one. And as part of this powerful collaboration, we will continue to create a welcoming environment, improving the perception of OneNKY on the local, regional, and national fronts. This becomes a key part of our talent and business attraction and retention efforts as we build our 22nd century OneNKY. We have a terrific opportunity to bring a similar focus to OneNKY through a deliberate, customized program for specific sectors like health and growth using Moonshot for Equity as a model. Take the challenge, OneNKY. Let's step up to embrace these innovative strategies as a welcoming community.
In Northern Kentucky region, some of the things that are a little bit of a barrier to educational access is early childhood education and transportation for parents to get children to quality daycare centers and other things within the regions.
I think for K-12 in the Northern Kentucky region, we have to do a better job of marketing who we are and what we provide for our families. Oftentimes it's a matter of we don't know what's available. What does our local school district provide? What opportunities do they have, both during the school day and after school, so that our families can work, can get to their employment and back, and still know that their kids are being taken care of.
Yeah, Success by Six with United Way is a great thing to try to get out information to our particular parents. But at the same time, we as educators and businesses and the community have to make sure that those parents are aware of what is occurring. There's some great partnerships with Learning Grove and other things within the school district. So we have some great collaboration, but what we need is more of those centers. I know you're doing some great things with the Paul's program, and I know Erlanger and Boone County has some great partnerships with Learning Grove for early childhood, and there's some great private centers out there, but a lot of that is not within the reach of a lot of our particular parents. The problem is access to those. Within Boone County, they're transporting. Kenton County is close by, they're transporting. But other students are having difficulties getting to these different centers of innovation. We need more of that.
We've really found some success with our college and career connector through Learning Grove and through the cooperative of getting a central housing, our E3 platform that gives opportunities for, or at least lets schools know of opportunities for our students has been impactful already.
Yeah, what we need more businesses to support that particular program and make sure that it's a one-stop place with Grow, so that all businesses coming together have one platform. Students can go to the one platform and have access to the opportunities, to the internships and externships that are available through that platform. We're working on a data dashboard for measurements, and this is a key area. How many internships do we have now, and how many are we progressing to? How are we utilizing this platform? We know that through competency-based education and programs like Ignite, the Launch, the River Cities program, that we are seeing an increase in the number of students that are taking dual credit in the region. So that's a metric, for example, for us to look at. It's how do we supply the workforce, but how are we meeting the demands of the business sector? But at the same time, how is the business sector meeting our supply side by coming together and providing these opportunities through the 3K platform?
I'm really impressed and really thankful for the teaching staffs and the classified staffs in our schools, because without them, without their efforts, I shudder to think where we might be.
Our perception as a welcoming community is an important attribute as we continue to market the region for tourism, visitors, convention business, and talent attraction. These components represent cross-marketing opportunities that we can utilize for the growth of our community. OneNKY just started a strategic planning process that will contain deliberate DE&I components, inclusive of some specialized workforce training programs designed for our hospitality, retail, and other related functions. This is about building the destination of the future. The ability to provide a truly favorable experience to a visitor, a business professional, or a resident drives the need for a skilled workforce, state-of-the-art hotels and business facilities, and vibrant communities that offer unique recreational outlets. OneNKY has started a new effort to bring in national public relations outlets to tell the story about Northern Kentucky. Outlets like Garden & Gun, Southern Living, Fortune Magazine, Forbes, USA Today, all telling the story of a vibrant destination. This is so important as we attract new talent that takes a look at Northern Kentucky and lets them know that this is a vibrant destination that is going to welcome them and give them lots of opportunity to have a good time. The Moonshot for Equity effort described by Dr. Vaidea and Figueroa sounds like a fantastic program for our community. Let's take this challenge to develop similar initiatives in other sectors as we build our 22nd century OneNKY.
Sarah, transportation concerns often represent infrastructure needs in the form of bridges, roads, water, sewer, other utilities. These areas were discussed. However, much of the needs and concerns centered on the availability and accessibility of different transportation modes to move the workforce, to provide access to daily needs like healthcare visits, grocery access, rides to school, and after-school events. Your organization and health partners witness every day these needs for transportation services. Please share an overview of the innovative ideas that came out of the health session.
Thanks, Karen. Overall issues with transportation within the healthcare system impact patients as well as employees when access is limited. Consider an individual who requires care or an appointment but has limited access to traditional transportation. Often, 911 is called because they are unaware of resources available. A central call line to coordinate these needs would drive the appropriate use of resources and assistance to individuals. Transportation issues within the workforce crosses over all industry sectors and is a major concern for employers as a tight pool of available workers struggle to find reliable, accessible ways to get to their destinations. We have an opportunity in our community to be more aligned from an advocacy and coordination perspective. Ideas we discussed within the health session included strategically creating a common vision for transportation by aligning it to our regional land use plans, increasing the level of commitment from the state to assist in reimbursing for non-emergent transportation. We can also raise awareness of community resources on how to access those available. We have great resources in our community, and many are often underutilized. The new media initiative will certainly help amplify this, but we need to do more through innovation and technology. A central call line to arrange for an appropriate level of transportation mentioned earlier would be a great initiative, especially for our urban residents from where we draw our workforce in Northern Kentucky. Increased and targeted use of technology to identify gaps within service areas provides analytical support to the focus on the marketing of community resources. The development of an analytics tool that agencies could utilize for more cohesive planning and collaborative analysis would really benefit our community.
Lee, comments from the healthcare sector involve the growth sector as we look to attract, retain, and develop talent. Infrastructure considerations are relevant when we discuss transportation needs and the ability to move people to the right places. How do we address these infrastructure needs from a growth standpoint?
Well, in short, it's about policy alignment, Karen. Louisville, Lexington, and Northern Kentucky often share common needs, including access to a skilled workforce to service our target industries. The power of our combined outreach, and we work with them on a regular basis, talking to our legislatures, it creates a strong voice for the specific initiatives related to needs like transportation. Our rural communities often provide the necessary talent for jobs in Northern Kentucky. We must be aware of their challenges from an implementation and resource perspective, which spans from transportation to access to educational resources to housing. Raising awareness of our assets, there's a call for a marketing effort designed to attract and retain talent to Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, and other areas of the Commonwealth. How we provide transportation and the state of our infrastructure clearly creates a perception of the area. As a community, we need to assess, are we on the forefront or are we falling behind? Also, our DEI efforts are an important part of our perception. Are transportation routes accessible to all the population as we look to the urban core, suburban, and rural rings to fill the talent pipeline? The idea of a strategic land plan with ties to transportation needs is important to our future workforce as we look at companies surrounding CVG and redevelopment opportunities in the urban and suburban cores. An increased population attracting both empty nesters and young families and professionals in the river cities creates a need for analysis, use of technology to define the gap, data-driven solutions targeted to increasing our population, identifying the beneficial forms of transportation and infrastructure improvements will move the needle. We have a need for the right data and analytics to solve these issues. Understanding the opportunity to pursue NKY as a smart city all comes into play with fundamental building blocks like smart signalization across the region to keep traffic flowing as we build our 22nd century OneNKY.
The following remarks are from technical professionals who represent a large group of organizations responsible for addressing issues like transportation every day. Their core work is to identify solutions through collaboration, innovation, and persistence. Let's hear what is working, what's in the works, and where there are gaps on the transportation front.
Our region is served by a hub and spoke bus transportation system. The hub of that network is downtown Cincinnati, Covington, and Newport, and routes radiate north into Cincinnati, Hamilton County, and south through Northern Kentucky's urban and suburban neighborhoods. This system has served our community for generations, serving the urban core and the folks that live in our river cities, as well as commuters to our downtown area. Over time, we're increasingly providing what we call reverse commute service. And this is service where folks take their neighborhood bus to that downtown core, coming from either side of the river, and they're expressed out to major employment hubs in the Northern Kentucky region, places like CBG Airport, Hebron, Richwood, NKU, and others. What we see over time is Northern Kentucky develops further south into the suburban and rural areas, population and employment density decreases. This makes providing public transportation overall less effective and more costly on a per passenger basis. So there are parts of our region where there is no access to public transportation. I think long term, we have an opportunity to provide better coordination between how we develop our land, what our investment and economic development policies are, and how they relate to access via public transportation. For many folks in our region, public transportation is the only way to get around. So there are large segments of our region that are auto-oriented. For a household to own and maintain and operate and insure a car, it can cost as much as $10,000 a year. That creates a constriction upon how much opportunity we're providing for our entire community. So better coordination in terms of land use and development decisions and access to workforce via transportation is a big opportunity for us moving forward. When we think about the more rural parts of our community, they are served by a patchwork of door-to-door transportation services. Those are provided by government entities, nonprofits, social service agencies, and there's an overall lack of coordination in this network. The services can also be very expensive depending upon your particular situation. So with technology, I think there's a real opportunity to more integrate and make this service more customer friendly for our community, which again increases access to those critical needs and essential services that exist throughout our entire community.
So Grow Northern Kentucky is a collective of over 75 partners across our workforce ecosystem, including education partners, government agencies, industry partners alike, really working together to create solutions for employers across the region. So over the last 36 months, we've worked diligently on work-based learning opportunities for students, as well as solutions around transportation and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Beginning with our work-based learning programs, we understand that it's critically important that we not only measure and assess student interest in particular industries, but also aptitude. Measuring aptitude creates an incredible amount of opportunity and possibility for our students, possibilities that they wouldn't have considered before. Our Grow Northern Kentucky partners have launched My Career E3 in the spring of 2021, and now it's all about connecting employers to the opportunity to connect with students, making sure that there is equitable access for our students to connect to these opportunities. One clear barrier to students accessing these work-based learning opportunities across the region is transportation. We understand that there are so many students that do not have access to transportation. We also know that transportation services are keys to ensure racial equity, certainly fair access to opportunities across our region, and justice mobility, and mostly for our underserved populations.
We've heard a lot today from our sectors in growth, health, and education that call for an alignment in policy and strategy as we pursue resources and legislation that will change our community for the better. Without our collective voice, the issues we care about, especially the big picture issues being discussed, will not happen. This is why one of our strategic imperatives is aligning the Northern Kentucky region on advocacy issues. The Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce was founded 51 years ago with the notion that we're stronger working as one Northern Kentucky. And when Northern Kentucky agrees on things and we work together, we generally get what we want. We have a variety of processes in place to address our key legislative priorities, but increased communication and having us all sing from the same songbook is critical. I believe this is why there's so much excitement surrounding this new media initiative. It's yet another vehicle to amplify our message, create awareness, and present a unified front. Combine that with the strategic use of OneNKY Frankfurt facility, which creates a physical and constant presence in Frankfurt, where the bulk of our federal and state resource allocations are decided, and you can see how our collective advocacy efforts will continue to improve. I also love that our discussions have galvanized our community leaders to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Collectively, we will create a more welcoming community. This is a big opportunity for improving talent attraction and retention, something every business in the region, large or small, is talking about on a daily basis. I'm also excited to see we have keyed in on data, and we're committed to leveraging available resources. We have the physical tools in place to complement our strong advocacy efforts. The energy and conversation around our community continues as we build our 22nd century OneNKY.
Lee, all three of our sessions identified the need for attainable housing accessible to the workforce and in closer proximity to work. How does this impact our growth opportunities in Northern Kentucky, and how do we activate this conversation?
Policy alignment around land use. Have we planned for it? And is the housing in proximity to concentrated employment areas, CVG, and the amazing e-commerce growth in Boone County, they again come to the forefront. What type of need do we project as other businesses expand in the region? Also, technology use. We need to understand the true need base on population and business expansions. Again, the need for data-oriented solutions comes into play. And finally, marketing our assets. This is a public-private conversation related to growth and expansion. Executive housing and attainable housing is important as we provide a narrative related to the community of the 22nd century throughout Boone, Campbell, and Kenton counties.
Housing is an emerging regional issue, but it has not been comprehensively addressed in Northern Kentucky as a region. From a community development point of view, housing is an issue related to poverty, homelessness, and economic mobility barriers. From an economic development point of view, housing is an issue related to job and workforce attraction and retention. So what we've observed today, without a lot of data yet to quantify this, we know that almost all subsidized housing in Northern Kentucky is concentrated in urban locations, and many units are located in projects such as City Heights in Covington that was built decades ago based on a housing model that clustered low-income families together in large complexes. I do agree with Mayor Meyer, who, in acting to close City Heights, recognizes that such a model doesn't work, especially when such projects are in isolated locations where the residents lack access to jobs, education, and basic neighborhood services. Meanwhile, the employment centers offering entry-level employment are in emerging suburban locations, and almost all of our 2- and 4-year colleges are also in suburban locations. Compounding the problem is the fact that efficient public transportation options are limited here. Other observations are that we've seen a lot of new multifamily developments, but they are primarily large luxury complexes. And the reason is that the high construction costs require high rents and efficiencies of scale. These units are not going to be affordable to households earning below 100% of our AMI. We also have observed, and this is a nationwide issue, not just necessarily a Northern Kentucky issue, but communities are hesitant to support new subsidized housing developments. Unsubsidized affordable units are in very high demand, but they often need grants, historic tax credits, or very low patient capital, low-cost patient capital to be feasible to develop. So I think it's time to start the conversation in earnest and ask the community to support resources to provide some basic data that would quantify what is our housing inventory. Is there an affordable housing gap? Does our housing supply align with our region's demographics? How does the available housing correspond to existing and emerging areas of job formation? How accessible is affordable housing to available jobs via transportation options? And how accessible is affordable housing to quality schools and neighborhood services? Do we have the adequate tools to encourage investment in subsidized and market rate affordable units? Until we do this, all we're doing is talking at the issue rather than having the basis of an actionable plan.
Sarah, the homelessness and food security topic emerged as a key concern during the health session and has application to all outcomes from an affordability and accessibility standpoint. Help us understand the key points that came out of these sessions.
Sure, Karen. Policy alignment and the coordination of services can really drive change as we look towards solutions for the homeless and the need for food security. Key organizations are completing substantial work as they focus daily on these issues. Strategic suggestions from our breakout sessions included, first of all, advocacy to change some of the public policy, particularly around land use code, where today it's primarily driven towards single family development instead of multifamily housing, which is really more attainable for many people. There's also the opportunity to enact tax credits to encourage more affordable, attainable housing, and also evaluate some creative solutions to address the deficit of single adult housing. Like one suggestion is to convert vacant hotels into appropriate housing for that demographic group. We really need to expand public and private funding for housing solutions like these. From a technology perspective, we really, again, need to combine the data sets of all of these organizations so that we can really understand who needs to be served, where the gaps are, and coordinate the opportunities together. Then we really look at marketing our community, which is another important aspect, and making it more attractive to diverse and inclusive for our diverse residents. We need to have a coordinated effort to inform the public on resources available for people across different walks of life, including language services, different partnerships with businesses, churches, childcare providers, and we also need to really market delivery options in farmers markets across the region that can really help with food security. When we think about the stigma created with the homeless population, we really should message that in the public and help understand this is not a moral failing of people, but these are our people, these are our neighbors with humanitarian needs who really want to gain stable housing and want and seek a stable life.
Over this past 18 months, of course, we've really seen the need for food and also for shelter increase exponentially. It's just been a very difficult and trying time for those that are in our communities. For us, one thing that we saw that was really helpful over this past 18 months is the collaboration amongst all of the nonprofits. We as Community Action never really operated in the space of food delivery, but the demand was so great that we had to jump in and begin to partner with other nonprofits. And I was really proud of our region and how all of us were able to come together, donations from the community that really made such a huge impact in people's day-to-day lives as we think about food security. As we think about homelessness, the same thing. One factor that impacts homelessness as well as food insecurity is directly tied to employment. That is key for our families to have safe and affordable housing as well as to have food security. So what we know and what gaps that we are seeing right now is this disconnect between employers and those that need employment. So we're really looking for our employer community to really think outside of the box and think about what types of resources they can provide to our local community members. We know transportation is the number one barrier. We know childcare is the second barrier. So how can employers think about those in terms of providing different avenues for employers to be able to take advantage of those opportunities or to provide those opportunities? And that will make a huge difference in food insecurity as well as the issues that we face with homelessness.
Thank you to our participants today. Each has shared relevant content and exciting announcements as we build our 22nd century OneNKY. Consider what we now have in place, given the work of many. A new multimedia platform underway with Link Media, specifically focused on Northern Kentucky and led by talented creative media professionals. The Kenton County Tax Portal pilot with regional capabilities led by Judge Executive Chris Knuckleman and his team. Northern Kentucky at a Glance, a new series through the NKU research team which will provide community information, enhancing our knowledge and increasing our voice. The OneNKY Frankfort facility, offering presence and identity as we continue our work in securing resources and creative awareness. The HQ facility, bringing together growth organizations with a stronger, more unified identity as economic growth driver. A challenge to the OneNKY community as we continue our work on diversity, equity, and inclusion through the innovative efforts of NKU and Gateway through the Moonshot for Equity initiative.
We appreciate the participation of everyone on the call and those who participated in the sessions leading up to today's summit. An enormous amount of innovative thought and work is invested, all meant to move us forward as we identify key gaps in our next initiatives as we build our 22nd century OneNKY. Given the issues we have presented today through the panel, our focus will continue through marketing our community resources and assets, using technology to identify the gaps, and policy alignment, generating necessary resources and legislative impact. The organizations represented as part of the panel and program remarks, as well as others, play a dominant role in driving this progress. Recommendations will be channeled to these groups as comments and solutions are asset mapped, more input is received, and specific initiatives are shaped. The DEI challenge driven through Moonshot for Equity is one example of a template ready for other sectors within the community. We have policy alignment suggestions that will coordinate with the Chamber and specific groups for consideration and action. Actionable items on the marketing front will be reviewed with our growth organizations and others for strategic implementation. So much in the works now, and with coordinated effort, we can amplify these solutions. In 2022, we intend to provide communications on all fronts through Link Media, segments specific to NKY at a Glance, summit gatherings as we progress. We have an opportunity now for Q&A. Many of our presenters are on the call. Let us know of your questions and comments through the chat feature, and we will do our best to address them.